بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Assalamu alaikum. It is Tuesday, the 11th of January 2022. In our series, Reflections on the Holy Quran, this is broadcast number 291. And at this time, we are discussing the meanings of the words of chapter 2, Al-Baqarah, verse 97. And this is the fifth broadcast about the words of chapter 2, verse 97. Just to remind you that these broadcasts are brought to you by the Lahore Ahmadiyya community, which was created by Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib. And he taught us that although people say that a prophet can come after the Holy Prophet Muhammad, this is totally wrong, because the Quran says that the Holy Prophet was Khatamun Nabiyyi. And the Holy Prophet explained that this means La Nabiyya Ba'di, there is no prophet after. So now no prophet can come, whether an old one or a new one. However, when the Ummah needs guidance, then God will send reformers, mujaddids. And they will then tell people what it is that they're doing wrong. And this will, of course, lead to disagreements. And Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that, people are very keen to rush and call each other kafirs and heretics and so on. And this is totally wrong, because the Holy Prophet Muhammad said that if one reciter of the kalima says to another reciter of the kalima that you are not a Muslim, you are a kafir, then it is the person saying it who is the heretic, who is the kafir. So strict was the Holy Prophet in this regard. And similarly, Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad taught that astonishingly, some people say that some prophetic revelation has been missed out from the Holy Quran, like Ayah Rajam and Surah Walayat and so on. But he said this is totally wrong, because Allah says that He revealed the Holy Quran and He will protect and guard it. So how can anything be missed from? And he also taught that although people believe that some verses of the Holy Quran are abrogated, this is totally wrong. No verse of the Holy Quran was, is, or ever shall be abrogated. The Quran is complete and perfect. And he also taught that jihad is a fundamental duty of every single Muslim. And it is the Holy Prophet's definition of jihad that we need to look at. When returning from fighting, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, from the minor jihad, we return to the major jihad, and then explained that the major jihad is a struggle to control your own desires and your own emotions. So, with that, let us turn to the chapter of the Holy Quran, that the verse of the Holy Quran, rather, that we are going to think about today. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل من كان عدوا لجبريل فإنه نزله على قلبك بإذن الله مصدقا لما بين يديه وهدى وبشرى للمؤمنين. Say, whoever is an enemy of Gabriel, for surely he revealed it to your heart by Allah's command, verifying that which is before it, and a guidance and glad tidings for the believers. Today we are going to look at the word musaddiqan. So, let me find my notes on the computer. There we are. The root of this word, as you know, Arabic language is based on roots, triliteral roots generally. And the root of this word is Fad, Dal, and Qaf. And it occurs in the Holy Quran. The words made from this root occur in the Holy Quran 155 times. And there are 19 words made from this root. So 59 times we have the word Sadiq that appears in the Holy Quran. Sadiq, 59 times. And 19 times Musaddiq. And 15 times Sadaqa. And 10 times Saddaqa. And 14 times Sidq. And 10 times we've done. And then what do we have here? 8 times Sadaqat. And 6 times the Saddaqa. And 5 times Sadaqat. And 5 times Siddiq. And so on. And then there are some more words which occur once or twice. So I'll leave those. And so that is the root of this word as it occurs here. And now let us look at what they mean. As-sidq. This is the opposite of al-kizbu. And both of them relate to a statement that is made. And obviously, a statement that's made can only relate to the past or the present. But in this, a promise about something to do with the future is also included. So obviously, it's like someone promises they'll come to see you tomorrow. Until they break that promise, you can't tell whether they were telling the truth or not. It can be that, when they said it, they were telling the truth. But for some reason, they couldn't do it. Something happened. But that also leads to that example, another thing, and that is that there is the truth in what you say, and there's the truth in what you do. So the real truth is when both your statement and your action bear it out. And God says that in chapter 4, verse 122, وَمَنْ أَصْدَقُ مِنَ اللَّهِ قِيلًا, who's more truthful in what he says than God. And then we have now, then we have the word based on this root, as-sidq. And that then takes us to what I was saying just now, and that is that what you have in your heart and what is in your tongue, they should be compatible. It should be the same. For example, if someone for some reason says, Muhammadur Rasulullah, well, now the statement is true. But the point is it just on his tongue or is it in his heart and mind as well? Is he saying it for some gain or avoid something? So if there isn't this compatibility between the heart and the tongue, then although the statement you make may be true, well, you can't say you're still lying. And the Quran, when the Quran refers to the hypocrites, in chapter 63, verse 1, it says, Nashhadu innaka la Rasulullah. And they say that they bear witness that you are the Rasul, the messenger of Allah. But despite the fact that the statement is true, they're called liars because they're saying we bear witness is a lie. And then we have the word as-siddiqo. Now, people say this means a person who's incapable of telling an untruth. Some others say, someone who speaks truth. But others say, no, this applies to someone who's incapable, who's never uttered an untruth, who's incapable. And others go further. They say that, there are three parts. There is the statement, that should be true. Then there is what's in the heart, as we saw earlier, belief. That must be compatible with what he's saying with his tongue. And thirdly, by his action, he must show that. So we're having internet problems today for some reason, but anyway, we got the connection back without losing much, I hope. Chapter 19, verse 41. The Holy Quran refers to Hazrat Ibrahim, the Prophet Abraham. Ibrahima innahu kana siddiqan nabiyya. Chapter 19, verse 41. And Abraham, without doubt, was a Siddiq, was truthful, and a prophet, or a truthful prophet, and so on. Now, you see, if we look at the meaning of the word Siddiq, as I said, I prefer the interpretation that someone who's incapable of lying. So here is the Holy Quran saying that Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam is not capable of an untruth. Okay? Now, and yet we have this hadith, and there's a great debate about this hadith, and people check those who related this hadith and the chain of narrators and whatever. And the hadith says Hazrat Ibrahim lied 3 times. That contradicts the Holy Quran, which says that the Prophet Abraham was incapable of telling a lie. He always told the truth. And in fact, the Holy Prophet himself warned Muslims, and he said, look, if a statement is attributed to me and it is contradictory to the Holy Quran, then reject it. I can't have said it. And a lot of complications arise by people saying, well, hadith comes first, and we need to interpret the Quran in the light of the hadith. Why do complications arise? If you look at the sequence when things happen, the Holy Prophet received a revelation and it would be written down immediately. People would learn it off by heart. The Holy Prophet would say where in the Holy Quran it is to be added. Then people would learn it by heart. And if you're going to learn something by heart, you need a sequence. You can't learn things by heart unless there is a sequence. So, okay. But this was done immediately in the Holy Prophet's presence. And the Quran was recited. The whole of the Quran was recited during Ramadan. But hadith, they didn't start writing the hadith until 90 years after the Holy Prophet Muhammad had passed away. This is why we have this chain of narrators. A said to B, who said to D, who said to E, who said to F, that the Holy Prophet Muhammad told me, or whatever. So, it's memory dependent. I'm not saying people lied deliberately. And also the context. We don't know the context. Someone might be relating truthfully the words he heard, but it may be that he missed the words that went before and that came after for some reason. If he came halfway through a sentence, what he's relating may be true. Holy Prophet might be saying, it is untrue to say that Prophet Abraham lied 3 times. He misses the first bit. It's untrue to say. All he hears is Prophet Abraham lied 3 times. What he is saying is what he heard. That's perfectly correct. But because he didn't hear the whole thing, the meaning is turned upside down. And we have in chapter 5, verse 75, about Mary, mother of Jesus. Wa ummuhu siddiqatun. And his mother was Siddiqa. Now you see, compare that with the verse of the Holy Quran about Hazrat Ibrahim. They both shared this quality. And yet Hazrat Ibrahim is a prophet and Mary is not. So you can share qualities with prophets. It doesn't make you a prophet. وَمِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ وَالصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالشُّهَدَاءِ. Chapter 4, verse 29. Sorry about that. My tongue appears to have had a brain of its own. So, here we have Siddiq and Shohada. They're mentioned with the prophets because without being prophets, they share some qualities with them. A prophet is a Siddiq, incapable of telling a lie. A Siddiq is the same thing. And so on. So just because you share some attributes with a prophet, it doesn't make you a prophet. And this word, truthfulness, also applies to your actions. For example, if a person is thought to be very brave and so on, and he gives battle bravely, then you will say Sadaqa fil qital. He was true in the battle. That is, that his attribute, he was true to his attribute. He was regarded as brave, and he was brave. But unfortunately, if he wasn't, then you'd say Kazaba fil qital. And when it was time to fight, he turned out to be untruthful. Why? Well, he was regarded as brave. Maybe he even claimed to be brave. But when it was put to the test, his actions betrayed him. This goes back to what I was saying to you earlier on, that, there are 3 aspects, and everything must be there for someone to be totally truthful. There's what's in your heart. There is what's in your there's what's on your tongue, and then there is how you behave. You may be saying what is in your heart, but if you don't put that into action, it's still not 100% true. This is why God specifically says in chapter 33, verse 23, Rijalun sadaqu ma ahadullah alayh. There are such people who fulfill the promise they made to God. And the Quran also says, لِيَسْأَلَ الصَّادِقِينَ عَنْ صِدْقِهِمْ. So, yes, the Quran says, they're speaking the truth. But ask them, are their actions compatible with what they're saying? And you see this in many places. I mean, recently we had a snowstorm in a place in Pakistan called Murray, and it's very popular. 100,000 people turned up because snow was predicted, and they wanted to see snow and all this kind of thing. And it turned out to be a horrible blizzard and a storm and so on, and trees were knocked down, etc. And people got stuck, and the temperature plummeted to -8 or whatever. And they went and they tried to book a room. And the room that normally costs 5,000 rupees, they were asking 40,000 rupees for one night for it. Now, people say, well, Quran says that, you should, and we'll come to this later on as well, you should help the needy, etc., etc. And this might be in their heart, it might be in their tongues, on their tongues, but, are they actually putting it into practice? So, and that is the point that the Holy Quran makes, which people miss. For example, in chapter 39, verse 33, the Holy Quran says, وَالَّذِي جَاءَ بِالصِّدْقِ وَصَدَّقَ بِهِ. And that means that the person who brings the truth to the people, but then he acts on it as well. So there's compatibility between his actions, his deeds, and what he says. So, and there is a great regard for people who do this. That is, that what is in their hearts is on their tongues, and what is on their tongues is what they actually do. So, now, the word sadaqah also comes from this. In fact, as-sadaqatu means true friendship. And in chapter 26, verse 101, the Holy Quran says, on that day, there will be no one who will be able to intercede on your behalf, and no friends. Chapter 26, verse 101. Min shafi'ina wala sadiqin hamim. Chapter 43, verse 67. It repeats the same thing. Those who are very close friends, at that day, they'll be each other's enemies. And then we have the word as-sadaqah, which means charity. Of course, charity is of two kinds. There is zakat, which is compulsory, and then there is sadaqah, which is additional. So, and sometimes sadaqah includes zakat, as the Holy Quran says in chapter 9, verse 103. Khuz min amwalihim sadaqah, and accept the zakat, the sadaqah from their wealth. Innamas sadaqatu lil fuqara. Charity is for the poor. Here the word sadaqat, and it means zakat, and it means sadaqah, extra charity. Fala saddaqa wala falla. So this foolish person, he neither gave sadaqah, sadaqah, nor did he pray. Here again, the word is used to mean zakat. Innal musaddiqina wal musaddiqat, chapter 57, verse 18, and the men who give in charity, and the women who give in charity, and that includes all kinds of charity. Similarly, if you injure someone, then you're entitled to inflict the same level of injury on that person. But the one who forgives, there is greater reward for him. That's chapter 5, verse 45. فَمَنْ تَصَدَّقَ بِهِ فَهُوَ كَفَّارَةٌ لَهُ. And the same thing is said about if you've given someone loan. So it's your right to take it back, but you give up that right. If the person who owes you money is in difficulty, give him time until his circumstances is better. Or if you can just write off the loan, write it off. That's better for you. Tasaddaqu khairul lakum. So that is to forgive this person who owes you money. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ma ta'uluhul khawafiyatu fahuwa sadaqah." And if someone's animals, or camels and horses and whatever, they go into some field and eat the grass or whatever, then that too is sadaqah. Same is said to be for compensation. If a person kills another, then he can be punished, or he can pay compensation to the deceased's family, or they can forgive him. In the family, if they forgive him, the Quran says, have given sadaqah, chapter 4, verse 92. Illa an yasaddaqu. So that is sadaqah. We have overrun our time, so I will take my leave of you with the prayer that whoever you are and wherever you may be, may Allah keep all of you safe and sound and free from harm. Assalamu alaikum. Khuda Hafiz. Goodbye.